AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. I'm Matt. We are here today at Court to Table on Burbank in Baton Rouge. The NFL preseason gets underway. The Hall of Fame game tonight. The Lions and the Chargers, and we'll be here for it. I promise you, this is going to be your new favorite place to watch football this football season. Come hang out with us for the show. Come grab a beer. Come grab dinner. Hang out. Watch the preseason game, the Hall of Fame game tonight here at Court to Table. All right, the LSU Tigers are back on the practice field today, as were the New Orleans Saints. Jeff Duncan is coming up later this hour. We got Will Blackwell and Sean Salisbury on the show as well today. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, LSU was back on the practice field for day 2 of fall camp. This one was a little bit different. Day 1, the media, got to watch the full practice. Day 2, they allotted us 15 minutes. I'm not complaining. I am very grateful for every bit of access they give us. So today we got to watch 15 minutes. I have a full practice report up at louisianasports.net if you prefer to read it and see my notes there. It's up on the homepage at louisianasports.net, always free. Just a little bit, let me give you a little bit of a background of how the day was shaped for what we got to see, and then I'll kind of go through a little play-by-play and the standouts and the notables. So we got 15 minutes. They were indoors. Again, just helmets, so no shoulder pads, no padded pants, so just helmets. The 15 minutes we got to see were all indoors. As Brian Kelly mentioned, meeting with the media on Wednesday, they are going to acclimatize their team. So they'll start indoors and then move outdoors and then progressively move to where more of the workout is outdoors. They started the first day with 12 periods. Then they were going to go to 16 and 18 and 20 as they continue to increase. As Brian Kelly mentioned, their research shows, their data shows, the first 7 days is the highest propensity for soft tissue injuries. So they want to make sure that the team is acclimatized, and so they're taking it slowly as they ramp up. Totally fine with that. The most notable or newsworthy item today is that Aaron Anderson was not there. We did not get word as to why. He was there the entire practice that we saw on Wednesday. So hopefully it's nothing really to be considered at all. We all know what Aaron Anderson can do on a football field, but he was not there at practice during the media viewing portion, so maybe he showed up later, maybe not. Maybe it was an excused absence. I have no more information other than he was not there today for the 15 minutes we got to watch. It was Barian Brown who replaced him, however, with the ones. So the first team receivers were Chris Hilton, Xavier Thomas, Barian Brown. Those were the first 3 receivers with Chris Hilton out. With Aaron Anderson out. It was interesting because when Brian Kelly was talking about the receiver depth, as he was talking about, he was asked on Wednesday about the ability to take the top off of defense. And he mentioned Hilton and Barian Brown as receivers that were going to be able to get over the top of a lot of teams. Well, Chris Hilton was there. It was Anderson who was out. And still, with Anderson out, it was Brown who replaced Anderson. So I think all that I'm reading between the lines here, but I'm just assuming with that, what that tells me is look, you may have 7, 6, 7, 8 receivers who can all play any of the positions, the X, the Y, the Z. It's just a matter of getting the guys on the field that you want at the right time in any event. So that was the most notable thing. I will tell you how the play-by-play went when we got to see the first, second, and third team offense. I'll run through that because I charted every play. We'll get to that in a second. When we walked in, we got to see 3 periods. The first 2 periods were dedicated to special teams. And so we got to watch the field goal PAT, which of note here is, of course, Damian Ramos is back, but you have a new holder. Last year, Peyton Todd was the holder. And Brian Kelly, I mean, remember, there were a couple of viral moments of Brian Kelly getting in Peyton Todd's ear because it was all about the operation, getting in there, getting the snap, the hold, the placement, the whole operation down. And that was a problem at times last year. Well, Jonathan Ferguson, long snapper, Grant Chadwick, the Middle Tennessee transfer punter, is the new holder. Ramos is the place kicker. Ramos did misfire from 28 and 48, but he nailed a 44-yarder. Aaron Burrell, the kick of the day, Burrell hit from 48 that hit the top of the net. And if you've never been at the LSU indoor, the uprights are almost against the back wall. There's not a lot of space from the uprights in the back wall, but they have a net so the ball doesn't just bang off the wall. The 48-yarder that Burrell hit was at the top of the net. I mean, he has a massive leg. And look, Damian Ramos, I'm not starting anything here. Damian Ramos is your place kicker. But Burrell will likely handle kickoffs again this year. And next year, when Burrell takes over the place kicking duties full time, I mean, he's going to be the guy with massive NFL potential if he just figures out accuracy and all that stuff. It's just consistency. But the physical talent, the ability, the leg talent is there with Aaron Burrell, which was awesome to see. When they went to the offensive period, it was a first, second, third team offense running hurry up, no huddle against air. So it was like a 2-minute offense, no defense on the field. So you would think, obviously, this would just be a pretty fluid sequence. And it was for the first team. There were some issues for the second and third team we'll get to here in a second. More than anything, I think what's important about this, because, again, you're not playing against air. You're not playing against defense. You're playing against air. What is notable to me, anyway, is the play sequence. Who is getting the ball? What types of plays are they running? And this was the first team sequence. Nussmeier threw a screen pass to Bauer Sharp, which yesterday, when they were running the 2-minute offense against the defense, they threw a middle screen to Bauer Sharp. So, screen to Bauer Sharp, zone read, carry by Caden Durham. The third play was a 35-yard touchdown pass to Xavier Thomas, where Nussmeier floated one down the left sideline. Thomas ran right under it. Boom, touchdown, beautiful pitch and catch. The next play, as they backed the ball up, Bauer Sharp on a 15-yard reception on an out route. He was on the left side of the formation, ran 15 yards out toward the sideline. Nuss hit him perfectly. Then they ran a quick slant to Berrien Brown, slant on the right side, slant toward the middle of the field for a touchdown. And then they lined up around the 10-yard line. Chris Hilton, who was lined up on the left, motioned to be attached to the line of scrimmage, and then they ran a little bubble screen or a little screen pass to Chris Hilton, who turned it up and got into the end zone. So very fluid for the first team offense. The same wasn't exactly true for the second team. It was odd because Juwan Johnson took the first rep with the second team. Now, do not read into this at all. It might have just been that Michael Van Buren was tying his shoe. I don't know. But Juwan Johnson went in, took the first rep, handed off to Caleb Jackson, and then Michael Van Buren went right in. And Michael Van Buren's first pass was a 35-yard touchdown to Jelani Watkins, who, of course, is really fast. Destin Hill caught a reception on a quick slant on the next pass. Again, Destin Hill is going to play. I'll continue to repeat it. They continue to feature him. He's going to play. The concern was the next pass where Van Buren overthrew Kyle Parker, who was coming on a crossing route. Again, there's no pass rush, and there's no defensive secondary to cover. You just have to hit your receivers in stride, and Van Buren overthrew Kyle Parker in the middle of the field. That's a problem. And then the final play for the second teamers was a run by Caleb Jackson on his own read. The third group goes out there. Colin Hurley's at quarterback. First play, they throw a tight end screen to Donovan Green. Again, they're throwing the ball to the tight ends. They're getting the tight ends involved. The tight ends are going to catch a lot of passes. Then Philip Wright caught a pass over the middle. The third play, Hurley looked deep, then checked down to Philip Wright. So back-to-back receptions by Philip Wright, the freshman from Destrehan. Hurley threw wide to Nick Anderson, who was coming on a crossing route. Nick Anderson's 6'4", y'all. He's 6'4", 208. Again, no pass rush, no hands in your face, no secondary guarding these receivers. You got to be able to throw accurate and on time, and both Van Buren and Hurley missed open receivers. Well, of course they were open. There's no defense. And Anderson is 6'4". You can't miss that dude. Teron Francis had a catch on a quick slant, and then the final play for the third team was a zone read to Harlem Berry. So the first offense was fluid. A little bit of problem with some of the misfires with the second and the third group. So we'll see how all that transpires as it continues to move. Again, I'm not making too much out of any of this. They're not in pads yet. In that sequence, there was no defense. It's more you want to make sure that you're just fluid in the operation. A couple of the misfires by the backups was a little concerning. The defense during that time in the practice, was doing a 4-circuit drill where you had 10 defenders in a group, and then there were 4 different defensive units or stations. One was dedicated to blitzing. One was like tackling the dummy to the ground on the pad. The third was sort of a pursuit drill where you're taking an angle. And then the fourth was, you hit, wrap up, and drive up. So it was just defense doing individual drills. We just didn't see really anything from the defense that would be notable. So the only real thing of note there, Aaron Anderson absent. Couple of misfires by Damian Ramos, big 48-yard field goal by Aaron Burrell, and then a couple of drops, or I shouldn't say drops, a couple of misfires by the second and third team quarterbacks. But Tigers are back on the practice field on Friday with no media availability. Then they practice again Saturday morning, and we get to watch the full practice. So make sure, if you will, I'll have a podcast, a Locked on LSU podcast on Saturday afternoon. As soon as that practice goes final, we'll let you know what we see. So make sure you're subscribed there, and we'll have plenty to talk about. We're back here on Monday. All right, we're here at Court to Table. Our Thursday shows are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. Thanks for hanging out with us. Show open brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. Of course, they have Bud Light here at Court to Table. So come on by tonight, get some dinner, maybe watch the Hall of Fame game with us, crack open an ice cold Bud Light. We'd love to hang out with you here at Court to Table on Burbank. Gordon is going to be with us in hour number 3 for a brief time. We'll talk a little bit about it. This is part of his concept with Ozzie Fernandez and several other partners as well. But they did a magnificent job putting this thing together. We're inside in the Funky Pickle Bar, but there's the restaurant next door. The bar area where we're in, there's a big courtyard area with comfortable seating and TVs everywhere. The pickleball tables on the far side, or the pickleball courts, I should say, on the far side. It's a great venue. If you haven't been, let me introduce you to Court to Table tonight. Come on by during AFR or later this evening for the Hall of Fame game when you knock off of work. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We'll knock out a quick break. When we come back, we'll move from the purple and gold to the black and gold. Our buddy Jeff Duncan had a very interesting comment about today's New Orleans Saints training camp practice. I'll let Jeff Duncan tell you when we come back on AFR.
After further review.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. Of course, as we mentioned, Gordon has done so much for the community, not only through his NIL ventures. We tell you all the time about the laptop giveaway around graduation, the bicycle giveaway around the holidays, and yes, Court to Table. One of the things that Gordon has talked about with Court to Table is he saw this concept in another city and said, Baton Rouge deserves this. So Gordon, some like-minded business people, investors came together, bought this property, built it out, finished it, and this is a magnificent place that pickleball players, sports lovers, families, people who love to eat good food are really going to enjoy coming here, and I'm excited for you to see it here today if you haven't been yet at Court to Table. You know what to do. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
The New Orleans Saints are back on the practice field as training camp continues. Jeff Duncan, NOLA.com, Times-Picayune was there. Good enough to join us now. Jeff, great to talk as always, man. How are you?
Doing good, Matt. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing awesome. All right, so I saw your tweet. I'll reference it here for those who haven't seen it yet. It's already been seen 152,000 times, so clearly it was notable. You wrote, I've seen a lot of practices in my 26 years covering the Saints, and today was one of the best that I can remember from a strictly competitive standpoint. Plays being made from both sides at all levels from all over the field. Good stuff. Okay, please explain.
Yeah, look, I think, Matt, you've been to a million practices in your career as well, and they tend to all start to blend together. So when one like today stands out, I mean, not only from just the effort and kind of competitive nature, but the playmaking on both sides. I did not do this on purpose, intentionally did not reference the Super Bowl team of 2009 because, as we know in this day and age, the hype train will go crazy. But it did remind me, Matt, of those days with Greg Williams' defense, John Vilma and that group competing at a high level against Drew Brees and Sean Payton. It felt like that. I mean, Brandon Staley was throwing the kitchen sink with his new defensive scheme at Kellen Moore and the offense, and then they were responding, and it was just fun. It was 50 to 60 snaps of team drills, which we haven't seen a lot of, so all that kind of played into it.
So what should we I'm not making any correlation to the 09 or any of those teams, Jeff. Like, I think this is maybe a 5-win team. I think they're going to be very bad in the win-loss column. What, if anything, should we make of that observation?
Well, maybe expectations are so low, with this team, which is very unusual. I think we all agree this team is, for a while, has had expectations to win the division. Maybe there's somewhere in between, a team that could maybe be a sleeper team for a playoff berth and what we're seeing nationally, which is this is the worst team or one of the three worst teams in the league, trolling with the bottom feeders like the Browns and the Giants. Maybe there's somewhere in between those two extremes. I don't think anybody should read into this. I've covered a million training camp workouts, and what translates to regular season sometimes I think is two totally different things. But maybe there's somewhere in between there. They're not one of the worst teams in the league, and there's some reason for a little optimism.
He's on Twitter at Jeff Duncan _. Give him a follow. NOLA.com, the Times Picayune. Okay, one of the reasons, Jeff, I would argue that they will be one of the worst teams in the league is they have nary a quarterback with a win as an NFL starter. That's really, really hard to overcome. Any reason for optimism around any of the quarterbacks from what you've seen so far?
Yeah, great point. And I think that overshadows any level of optimism you have just because of the inexperience factor. I think we've seen in this league how difficult it is to play quarterback as a rookie. I mean, the Jaden Daniels of the world are few and far between. More often than not, you have Caleb Williams, the number one pick in the entire draft, really struggled. Bryce Young the year before, really struggling. Bo Nix took half a season before he started to kind of feel comfortable and produce. And even if you go back, Matt, to Jaden Daniels' opener a year ago, I mean, 3 fumbles, I think he threw for 190 yards. They got blown out. It's hard. So I think any expectations on the quarterbacks have to be measured right now. I have not seen anything that tells me, boy, they've got a guy now that's going to be their long-term quarterback. I don't think anybody has seen that. I do think Spencer Rattler has been the most productive and consistent so far, but I haven't seen anything of the three that makes me believe that this team might not be back in the quarterback hunt in a year or so.
Okay. What, maybe from today specifically with this very competitive practice, what or who stood out in a positive light?
Well, Kool-Aid McKinstry, the cornerback from Alabama, the light bulbs come on for him in year 2. He's in better shape. He really didn't get into great shape as a rookie because he was coming off of a postseason operation. You can see the confidence level. I can see why they moved on from Marshawn Lattimore. They feel like he is going to be a true number 1 corner in this league. Those guys are hard to find. He's playing at a very high level. I think Chase Young, I'm the biggest skeptic in the world, Matt, on guys that we keep hearing about the potential and then it never comes to realization. But he just looks much lighter, much more athletic and healthy. You see why he was such a high draft pick and so highly thought of. And, this was Brandon Staley reminded me of this today. He's 26 years old, so he's still young. He was a young player coming into the draft. So maybe they've got a little more juice on defense than I expected, because I got wore down last year watching that defense. They got banged around, pushed around, and really bullied by teams like the Bucs and the Packers, and there's a reason they finished 30th in the league. I thought this could be a really bad defense, and I'm a little more encouraged after this camp.
Jeff Duncan's with us, NOLA.com, Times-Picayune. Get him on Twitter, X, at @JeffDuncan_. Jeff, you mentioned in the quarter century that you've covered the New Orleans Saints. You tell me if my math is off, but that means you would have covered Ditka and Haslett and Payton and Allen and now Kellen Moore. That's 5 head coaches, unless if there's someone else that I've missed. Are there observations you've made about Moore and his staff, albeit just a week of camp, but observations you made about Moore and his staff that, good or bad, that stand out to you relative to the other regimes you've covered?
Yeah, some good things. I like one, he's very sharp. Very intelligent guy that I think is very much in the mode of the modern NFL coach. What I mean by that, Matt, is the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur. They're not screamers, yellers. This guy is as far away personality-wise from Sean Payton as you can get. I don't think I've ever seen him raise his voice in any setting, much less on the practice field. Everything's positive. There's very, very rarely do you hear him critique his team. And I think he's very strategically gotten the buy-in from the veterans on this team. Now, the ultimate buy-in comes in September when they start playing games, and you can show to this team that what you're telling them works. That's the ultimate buy-in. But early on, he's pushed a lot of the right buttons. The one concern I have, and this is a minor concern, but it is in the back of my mind, these practices are as light as I've ever seen. Maybe the lightest I've ever seen. Now, the rest of the league's doing something similar, but even relatively speaking, just not a lot of physicality right now. And I'm wondering in the back of my mind, is this going to be, kind of not an Air Coryell, old, Chargers type of team? But I'm a little curious about that. Is it going to translate once they start playing ball?
Yeah, it's an interesting juxtaposition, Jeff, where and we've heard that a good bit, right? But you have under this new CBA limited opportunity for full contact and practice. Like, they are taking a lot of that out of camp. But at the same time, you still want to make sure you have that element. So is there a healthy medium?
I think so. John Sumrall at Tulane talked about this exact thing, Matt, yesterday. He's an old school linebacker, played at Kentucky, tough guy. And he wants that in his teams. He wants his teams to be physically tough. But he said, look, I'm also paying sports science guys, right? You got one of the best in the world down there, Jack Marucci in Baton Rouge. Those guys do all kinds of cutting-edge studies and research. They know what they're talking about. You have to trust in them as well. And that's where football is going, listening more to the analytics. And Summerall talked about trying to thread that needle between getting just enough physicality, but to develop the toughness you want, and also the conditioning that it takes to play a 4-quarter football game, especially down here in the South, but yet also, not getting worn down the way, frankly, this Saints team did last year with the injuries.
Jeff, one more for you. If outside of quarterback, is there a position battle for one reason or another that has caught your eye and been maybe more intriguing to you so far?
Yeah, I would say behind Alvin Kamara. Who's the next running back on this team that's going to replace Alvin Kamara? That's going to happen soon. Alvin's 30 this year. He's clearly the number one back. But they've got to find somebody that can also be a running mate with him. He's at his best when he had Mark Ingram alongside him, splitting carries. I think less is more with Kamara. And right now, I'd say the 2 veterans that they have in camp, Cam Akers and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, neither one of them has shown me much or stood out in any way. Now, we'll find out more in preseason games when the running game is really established. But right now, I don't know if anybody can tell you who the number 2 back is on this team, and I don't think that's a good thing.
He is Jeff Duncan, NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune. Get him on X at Jeff Duncan _ You can follow him there. Hey, man, we always appreciate the time. Thank you.
Anytime, Matt. Take care, buddy.
All right, you do the same. We're brought to you by our friends at Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge, title sponsor of our Thursday shows all throughout the year. Good stuff there from Jeff. Kellen Moore did meet with the media after practice. We'll hear from the head coach in a very monotone way because, as Jeff just said, he doesn't really get excited about much. Hey, we're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. My goodness, there's a lot of land around where we are. This Court's Table location is on a ton of acreage, but it doesn't matter if you're looking for acreage within the city. Maybe you're looking for that rural 20, 50, 100 acres to build your family's dream home. Maybe with those 200 acres in Texas or Mississippi to build that hunting property. Like, this is the time. You're a hunter. You know that. I don't hunt, but at least I know that. Like, this is when you want to put out your food plots. This is when you want to build the deer stand. You don't want to be doing it during hunting season. Be hammering away and stuff, scaring away the deer. I mean, I'm an idiot, and I know that. So call them now, First South Farm Credit. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthland.com, FirstSouthland.com for First South Farm Credit. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Really excited to be here tonight. The Pro Football Hall of Fame game is tonight, the first preseason game of the year. Lions, Chargers. We'll be watching it here at Court to Table on Burbank. If you haven't been yet, come hang out here during the show. I'm staying afterwards for the Hall of Fame game as well. Come watch some football. Have a nice cold Bud Light. Hang out here. Have some dinner. The food menu is phenomenal. And by the way, Thursday is ladies' night, half off, glasses of wine for the ladies. So, gentlemen, entice your significant other to come and get half off wine. Like, of course, that'd be phenomenal here at Court's Table. All right, well, I got a quick break. We'll come back. We will go around the SEC when we continue. Also, we'll give you a little bit of, I know there's not like tremendous competitive interest in the Hall of Fame game, but there is one thing that Jim Harbaugh is going to do, and that's start Trey Lance. Yes, Trey Lance, the former number 3 overall pick, is going to start the Hall of Fame game tonight for the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh will explain why. You'll hear that as we continue on AFR, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge.
After further review.
Man, I love telling you about my friend Darren James, because, listen, I know this much to be a fact. This is just statistical fact. 74% of people that list their home for sale by owner end up hiring a realtor. Maybe you've been through that experience. Maybe your home is currently listed for sale by owner and you're having trouble getting traction or getting it moved. It's why you need a realtor and you need Darren James. There's a lot of different reasons. Maybe it's you don't know how to properly price your home. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you're just not available to show your home whenever people want to see it. There's many different reasons. The bottom line is Darren James was on that just came out the Wall Street Journal Real Trends list of the top 1% of realtors in America. Darren James, number 17 in America, number 1 in Louisiana on the transaction side. Think about what I just said. Literally no realtor in Louisiana sells more homes annually than Darren James. So if you need to sell your home, you need Darren James. Go to agent225.com, agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
We've really tried to make it reflect a typical training camp in terms of volume, workload, meeting time. For example, if it was the first 10 days were 11-hour days, they're 9-hour days now. Volume of practice, 2.5-hour practice is an hour and 45 minutes. We factored it in to not get too much, not get too little either.
That is Jim Harbaugh. Chargers will play the Lions in the Hall of Fame game tonight in Canton, Ohio, as the NFL preseason will officially begin. I know it's when there's a football game in July, it always kind of feels a little odd, but I love it. You'll know I love the preseason. I'm a preseason junkie. I understand not everybody loves preseason football. My point of contention always is if you love the NFL and you love the idea of roster construction, then the preseason matters because by and large you go into a camp knowing who 49 of your 53 roster spots are going to be occupied by. So maybe there's 3 or 4 roster spots that really truly are up for grabs. So And you could say, well, who cares about those roster spots? But they all matter in the NFL because on an NFL Sunday, whoever is on the active roster, like, you are playing. Even the backup quarterback typically is going to be your holder. Like, everybody has a role. If you're a backup lineman, you're playing on special teams. Like, everybody is going to play on an NFL Sunday. So those last 3-4 spots matter. Maybe it's a rotational secondary player or an offensive lineman. I mean, we just got done talking about, like, the New Orleans Saints offensive line last year being a mash unit. Imagine, like, how valuable someone like Will Clapp is if you have, I mean, God forbid, but, Eric McCoy last year when he pulled his groin, you had Lucas Patrick, who was playing guard, who could shift into center. And, I mean, it's just, you have to have those guys that are capable of playing multiple spots and can be valuable assets to you. So, I mean, Isaac Adams back on this team because a couple of years ago when they had injuries in the secondary, boom, he comes off the bench, goes in, is a serviceable corner. He gets a contract by the Niners. Now he's back in New Orleans. So, like, yes, the last 3-4 spots matter, and all that gets determined by and large, not only in practice, but, yes, reinforced by what you do in the preseason. And this is fascinating tonight for no other reason, really, because the former number 3 overall pick, Trey Lance, we all remember Trey Lance's situation from North Dakota State, who then, ends up being the 3rd overall pick of the 49ers. He flames out there. He ends up in Dallas. Well, now Trey Lance is in Los Angeles with the Chargers, and Justin Herbert's not going to play in this ball game. So, as Jim Harbaugh said, Trey Lance is going to start the Hall of Fame game tonight, and here's Harbaugh on why.
I just want to give Trey Lance game experience. I mean, I look at his career, even college, not as much as most guys, and then he got into the NFL and got nicked up a little bit. So, talented player who's playing very well in practice. Now go out into the game, and that's the piece. That says the most.
You may not love to bet preseason football, and I don't blame you if you don't love to bet preseason football. Unders typically rule in the preseason game, although I did hear on Live at Lunch earlier today, the last 3 Hall of Fame games, the over has hit. But if I was going to look at playing something in this game, not that I'm encouraging you, the Lions are favored by 1.5. With Trey Lance starting this football game, I would probably lean to Chargers first half money line if I were going to play it. I'm not saying you should, but first half money line, like the Chargers with Trey Lance playing the full first half, that probably feels like a pretty, I don't know if I would even say safe, but a good value bet there. So we'll see. All right, we're brought to our Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. We'll go around the SEC in just a quick second. Windows, doors, siding. They do shutters as well at Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com, where, remember, they also have wood windows that come with a lifetime warranty. That sounds like a punchline to some, but if your HOA, and there are many of them, if your homeowners association requires wood windows, you want to call Relief Windows because you're going to install these windows once and you're done when you install these Geldman wood windows from Relief Windows. Custom made, measured, made for your home, custom installed as well, expertly installed, and the custom window and the expert installation is so key to prevent those costly air leaks. And, of course, they're built and manufactured not to rot in the South Louisiana weather. If you want wood windows, you want Relief Windows. Windows, door, siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters as well. ReliefWindows.com. Okay, Muse, remember to turn on your microphone this time. Muse, hit around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Florida Gators.
We got the mic. We're good. On Wednesday, we told you DJ Lagway out with a walking boot on his foot. Billy Napier has now addressed his starting quarterback's injury, calling Lagway, quote, day to day. Napier also mentioned that they're about a week removed from the injury, so a lot of quick progress has been made, but it's still something that they will be monitoring. Of course, DJ Lagway coming off of a shoulder injury a season ago that kept him out for games and part of spring, limiting him.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Mississippi State hit the practice field for the first time on Thursday, and, well, they did so without a potential starter on their defensive line. Jeff Lebby confirming that interior defensive lineman Kai McClendon is sidelined from the preseason and likely much longer. He's got a torn knee ligament, although Lebby did stop short of saying that McClendon will be out for the entire season. True freshman a year ago Played all 12 games, started 5 in the last 5 games of the season, as a matter of fact. 30 tackles, a half sack, and 2 TFLs. That's one to monitor for Mississippi State with an already fledgling defense.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Kirby Smart has updated Georgia offensive lineman Ja Jackson following an arrest. He was arrested back on July the 16th. Kirby on Thursday said that Jackson is being disciplined internally, but is available and still with the team. Of course, he's looking to play a bigger role. He played in all 14, 15 games for Georgia a year ago. The arrest was for more than an ounce possession marijuana. That's a felony. He was also charged with 3 more misdemeanors.
The Missouri Tigers.
And lastly, Mizzou has extended their defensive coordinator, Corey Batoon. It's just a week after they extended Coach Eli Drinkwitz. Batoon is guaranteed to make $1.4 million and $1.5 million through 2027. That's the extension. He also will receive a $100 signing bonus and another $100,000 retention bonus if he's still with Mizzou on February 1st. He was hired from South Alabama to replace Blake Baker. Missouri ranked 17th in the country in total defense and 20th in scoring defense in Batoon's first season. There you have it. That's around the SEC.
Thursday show is presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. There's a weird, summer cold going around right now. Erica's got it. Some people at the office have it. If you want to get over that quickly, an IV hydration, could be a great way to sort of boost you, bring you back to life. Decision Critical will come to you. Their expertly trained nurses will come to your home, your office to administer that IV. So if you're feeling bad and you want to get back to life, call Decision Critical. One of their expertly trained nurses will be at your home, your office, wherever you are. They come to you and they can administer that IV. Just one of the many services they offer at Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. Of course, I've mentioned therapeutic phlebotomy as well. A lot of men on hormone therapy, you have to give blood. Like I have to give blood every 6-8 weeks, something like that. They will come to your home office and perform that service as well. So it's not just healthcare. It's healthcare for your lifestyle. Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. DecisionCriticalBR.com. DecisionCriticalBR.com. Muse, you've got the big story out of Alabama on the round the SEC. Did you miss this?
Wait, yeah, I did. What happened?
God, Muse. I mean, I don't know how in the world you could possibly have missed such a massive story. At 2026 5-star edge, Anthony Tank Jones, out of the state of Alabama, picked Oregon over the Crimson Tide today. It's being called the biggest recruiting whiff in Alabama history. He said at one point, did Tank Jones, quote, Alabama was his, quote, dream school since I was younger, although down the stretch, the Ducks and their Nike money jumped in and yanked him right out of the Yellowhammer State, right from Kalen DeBose and you other chumps. Get used to losing key prospects. Kalen DeBose, you know what had never lost him? Nick Saban, but guess what, chumps? Nick Saban ain't your coach no more. You're stuck with this bumbling dude from Washington and South Dakota or wherever he coached. I'm sure it's going to be great, though. All the dudes you got back on defense and Nick Saban recruited, losing half your roster in 1 year. Oh, you got the friggin' OC that he had with him at Fresno and Montana. I'm sure it's going to be awesome this year. All's going to be fine. No worries, Bammers. It's going to be really good. Get ready, bruh. I've been telling y'all since the day Nick retired, 9-3 is coming right up your donkey every single year. That is your new reality. Get used to it, you chumps. That boy, Tank Jones. Take your talents to Eugene, Oregon. Get out of Alabama. You can smell a rat. Smartest thing that young man could possibly do instead of going and playing for. What's the old dude? Wimpy. I'm gonna start calling him Wimpy. Remember from the old Popeyes cartoon? Wimpy, that's Kalen DeBose. Good for you, Anthony Tank Jones. Get far away from those goons in Tuscaloosa. Love to see it. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 hour air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Love sharing 5-star Google reviews. Aaron sent this one, said Kevin, the technician, was outstanding. He was extremely professional, knowledgeable, courteous throughout the entire visit. From the moment he arrived, he knew exactly what the issues were with our system, explained everything clearly. He diagnosed the problem quickly, walked us through the best solutions. It's clear he's experienced and takes pride in his work. We felt confident and well taken care of. Highly recommend Kevin and River City's 1 Hour Air. I mean, I got 20 more seconds. What else do I have to say? Got issues with your AC? Call the best. River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with a giant clock on the side. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
The College Sports Commission has loosened their prohibition on athletes getting paid from third-party collectives. This just didn't take long at all. I mean, the House settlement went into effect exactly a month ago, July 1st. Here we are on the last day of this month, and the College Sports Commission is effectively saying, you know what, I guess maybe it's okay if collectives continue to pay student athletes. Like that's cool. And look, let's be honest. I mean, I know we had this whole clearinghouse thing where everything over $600 had to be proven for exact value. Maybe it doesn't have to be exactly that, but we are going to still need some documentation that they are promoting a product and what. Like, get real. Like, what are we doing? I mean, this was one of the most obvious outcomes that anyone and everyone should have been able to foresee. I mean, I don't need to go through a deep explanation, but just as a reminder, like collectives were effectively funneling. It was pay for play guised as NIL. Collectives were funneling cash to athletes as pay for play under the guise of NIL. Whatever. House settlement comes along. They're like, okay, can't do that anymore. Everything actually has to be NIL. And if it's over $600, you have to have it approved by our third-party clearinghouse. Well, naturally, everyone is going to try to find ways around that. Whether it's payments under the table, back to the old brown paper bags, something we've talked a lot about here, which is high school NIL, because the NCAA doesn't have jurisdiction over NIL payments to high school players, and every state has allowed high school NIL. So there have been all these different loopholes. So now the College Sports Commission says, okay, look, we're going to loosen this up. Like, collectives can still pay the players, but it's got to be NIL deals. Like, you got to show you're actually trying to promote a product. But what's gone from this memo is the whole, it's got to be market value. And the problem is, I'm not a really smart guy, but I understand some things about economics. And like the best example I can give is one I've given before. It's like a baseball card. I mean, if you find an old piece of cardboard with Honus Wagner's picture on it, there's people that pay millions of dollars for that. It's an old piece of cardboard with a picture on it. What's the market value of a piece of cardboard with a picture on it? Put my picture on a piece of cardboard. Anybody going to pay them $1 million for that? Hell no, they're not. Will they for Honus Wagner? Why? There's rarity and scarcity and all this sort of thing. Yes. So it's the same thing here. Who's to determine what someone's market value is? It's what the market will bear. And if someone's willing to pay a backup quarterback $450K to hold a clipboard, God bless that kid. That's what he's going to get. That's his market value. So it took them about a month to realize that's probably where they needed to be. I still maintain that the really interesting thing that will continue to unfold is how the blended roster budget comes to pass. When I'm talking, the blended number I'm talking between NIL and revenue share and how all that is structured. That's where people like Austin Thomas are going to prove their worth in the weight of gold. They're worth their weight in gold. Their worth is worth their weight in gold. Their value is worth their weight in gold. So you know what I'm trying to say. because those are the people that are going to have to figure out how to allocate the money that they have through rev share and NIL to make it make sense to where they can build a roster that's capable of competing for a championship. But 1 month, 1 month into the Newhouse settlement, and they're like, yeah, we're going to loosen those restrictions a little bit. Yeah, you don't say. Season hasn't even started yet. We're brought to you by Evermore, EVA-MOR. Y'all, it's hot out there. It's 100 degrees. Drink your Evermore. I got my big bottle, my 64-ounce bottle right here. I have it with me at all times when I'm at my desk, whether I'm on air, whether I'm at home. I drink Evermore all day long. It's a better form of hydration. It's natural artesian water. I was at a business today. Someone offered me a bottle of water. They handed it to me, and it said purified drinking water. And you go read it, and you read the label, and it ain't just water in a bottle. There's all these different things added and taken out. Like, it's what are you actually consuming? With Evermore, this is a natural product, straight from the ground into the bottle. EVA-MOR, Evermore.com. Buy it online or great local retailers. Evermore.com, EVA-MOR. Drink Evermore. Okay, y'all. Thursday shows are brought to you by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. We are at Court to Table, perfect location for game day season, which is right around the corner. And tonight is the Hall of Fame game. We will be here, so come hang out with us at Court to Table on Burbank. Come get introduced to your new favorite spot to watch football tonight at Court to Table. Hour 2 after Sports Center.
AFR.
Y'all, I love telling you about Lee Michaels. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com. If you are thinking of popping the question, getting down on bended knee, and you're going through the process right now maybe of shopping for that ring, that diamond that is going to thrill her and that she'll look at lovingly for the rest of your lives together, go to Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. You can start at the website, and you can schedule a consultation with one of their associates. So if you want to have your time set out and arranged, and if you want to go to Lee Michaels and you want to try on 1,000 rings, you can do it. Like, you're never going to be rushed. You're never going to feel pressured. It's how they've been here for 40 years. Do not be nervous. They create a very personal experience, and it does not matter what your budget is. They want her to be thrilled and you to be a hero. There's 9 locations, 2 of them in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, and online at lmfj.com.